The Federal Reserve has updated the status of the economic recovery. Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke also laid out what the central bank will keep doing to help nurse the economy back to health. Anthony Mason reports.
The usually cautious Fed chairman led a ray of optimism into his economic outlook after the Fed's meeting Wednesday.
Unemployment claims, insurance claims are at the lowest level they've been since the crisis, so we are seeing improvement. I think one thing we would need is to make sure that this is not a temporary improvement.
Because Ben Bernanke has seen encouraging numbers before, only to see the economy falter again. The housing rebound continues to gain strength. Building permits in February were up more than 4.5%, the highest level in 5 years. But Bernanke said the Fed will continue to hold short-term interest rates near zero until unemployment drops below 6.5%. The Fed's own forecasts don't show that happening until 2015. And the Fed is again worried about financial troubles in Europe. Banks in Cyprus have been closed since Saturday to prevent a run of withdrawals on deposits. The Cypriot banking system has been on the verge of collapse, and as part of a bailout package, the European Central Bank wants to tax deposits in banks there from 2% to 5%.
We have no right to touch deposits of normal people who was working for years, trying to save his money for my children. We have no right to do it.
But the Fed chairman says the Cypriot banking crisis poses no risk to the U.S. economy yet. The only way it could cause a problem, he says, is if the run somehow becomes contagious to other European countries and creates a loss of confidence. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
Now joining us this morning is Rick Newman, Chief Business Correspondent for U.S. News and World Report, to talk a little bit about this. Rick, good morning.
Hi, Anne-Marie.
Hi. Okay, so we heard from Ben Bernanke. Was there anything that you heard today that surprised you at all?
No, he told us what we already know. He verified that the economy's been looking better, but he also cited two risks that we've known about for some time. It's a little bit new for the Fed to say to single out these two things, but it was the situation in Cyprus. I think in their statement they cited global financial concerns. That basically means Cyprus and Italy as well. It's the same typical problem we've been hearing about in Europe. And then he said fiscal problems in the United States. Fiscal pullback has also been slowing the economy a little bit. We know about that too. That's the tax hikes that went into effect at the start of the year and those spending cuts known as the sequester. Right. Those have not had the sort of catastrophic effect on the economy right off the bat that some people predicted, such as President Obama, for example.
Right, yeah.
made that sound pretty scary. But those will impact the economy over time, and we're possibly going to see some reduced job numbers in, let's say, April, May, and June. Maybe corporate earnings reports will be lower than expected. That is going to filter into the real economy, and he made a reference to that today.
Yeah, he certainly did. He also talked about keeping the interest rates low as long as inflation remained mild. But, the interest rates have been low for a while now. Is inflation a realistic threat? Could it be coming?
Inflation is not a problem right now. I mean, a lot of people are concerned that when the Fed prints money, which is essentially what it's been doing, at some point that's going to lead to higher inflation, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but runaway inflation would be a bad thing. And if it gets beyond the Fed's ability to control it, that's a problem. That is nowhere in sight right now. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but that's not our problem right now. The problem is getting that unemployment rate back down and just getting more people to work, and we're still a long way from that, as Anthony pointed out.
Right, exactly. The Fed would like to see the unemployment rate drop to 6.5%. It's now 7.7%. Anthony Mason's story says that's not expected to happen until 2015. Yep. Are you surprised about that number, or do you agree with that number?
There's nothing surprising about any of that, and employment has just been a slow slog. I mean, we know this has been a so-called jobless recovery. Many economists are saying the same thing the Fed is. They say they see the same outlook. The Fed didn't announce anything at all different today. What it basically did is affirm it's going to continue doing what it's been doing. And honestly, that's what markets wanted to hear. That's what investors wanted to hear. They're relying on the Fed to basically keep pumping liquidity, as they call it, which is money into the economy. And that helps support stock prices. It's helping keep mortgage rates low. It's helping people get car loans and things like that. That stuff is all starting to happen. We've seen a housing turnaround. The Fed has helped accomplish that. Car sales are pretty good and getting better. The Fed, these policies actually have been helping the economy, and everybody just wants to see that continue and not see the Fed sort of take the punch bowl away from the party, as the cliche goes.
Right, exactly. And, you know, the markets reacted quite well, but you brought up one of the concerns, which are the sequestration cuts.
Yep.
If this continues, how bad will it be? But what else could negatively affect this growth?
Well, Cyprus is a concern, not because Cyprus is some sort of huge economy. It's tiny. But there are obvious concerns that have been there for a while about the stability of the banking system in Greece, Spain, and Italy. And now in Italy, we've got a very uncertain political situation as well. We have sort of been on and off high alert on these countries for about 3 years now, and we're sort of now on high alert again. The politicians in Europe keep coming up with stopgap measures that sort of prevent the worst thing from happening today, and they could do that again with Cyprus and sort of keep that problem contained. We just hope that they sort of get over the problem eventually. I think it's one of those things that's just going to take time.
I think so too. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Rick Newman, Chief Business Correspondent for U.S. News and World Report. Thanks for joining us this morning. Rick is also the author of Rebounders: How Winners Pivot from Setback to Success.